Hey, everybody. I am so excited to talk about my favorite subject, which is systems. So, this is going to be our three-part momentum system. Okay. And the thing that I want to remind you of, or I want to share with you as we begin, is that you're already doing this. You're already doing a lot of this, but it's putting it together and it's doing it no matter what your emotional state about your business is. Okay. When we jackknife momentum, what we're doing basically is we're letting our emotions run us instead of doing the system. We've heard it a million times. People fail, systems don't. So even when you're feeling low about something or something disappoints you, or you're feeling bad at your job or whatever, utilizing the system and not deviating from the system is where you're going to make sure that momentum stays intact no matter what your emotional state about your business is. So obviously we feel like this is the one of the most powerful concepts. And it's really just putting it all together because we're doing it, right? We're doing it. But when you look at it and it gets broken down into a three-part system, you can kind of, especially like if you're like mentally visual or if you want to write something down, I did share notes about what we're going to be covering in the our Emerald thread as a PDF that you can print out. And obviously you can create any other resource from that. But this is basically a cycle that is going to pull people in and build belief all the way into a great product experience. But what happens is that when you do it, that's what modeling is so important for. When you're doing this, they will have already been a part of these systems because you will have driven them in through the system. And so when then we talk about them wanting them to get their products paid for, whatever, they're going to you're going to be able to say this is exactly what I did with you. That you saw this already, and this is how you said yes to the products. This is how you said yes to sharing. This is how, this is, that kind of a thing. So the first piece of this is connection and prospecting. Okay, guys, this is obviously posting is somewhat connected to this, but posting is really just an advertisement for your business. The yes, posting is about attraction, but where you're going to make the sale is connection. And Jory said it when he was with us in Kansas City, and we know this, right? We're posting. We're not doing the post and pray method. Okay, we're connecting, we're reaching out. Think about the person that you purchased from and how that happened. There was probably some kind of credibility or connection built there. Okay, think about how you said yes to the business. There was a connection and credibility there. Okay, even if, in the off chance that you've got a level 2 or 3 that maybe their sponsor isn't as active, because of these systems they will have been added into resources that are creating connection and credibility. So it's very important that you do not deviate. So when you are consistently connecting with others, that's how you keep your business alive. It dies when you stop doing that. Okay? It dies when you stop doing that. So obviously, this is warm reach outs. This is expanding your circle. Guys, we're talking about this stuff all the time. This is not new information to us, but we're categorizing it in a system. We're adding people daily. Okay. So basically, the anchor line to this is like when connection is flowing, your pipeline is flowing. Okay. When connection stops, everything stops. If you sit around and you're like, I just don't have any potentials, I don't have anybody to talk to, I want to ask, what were we doing in the connection piece in the last 90 days? Because we run on a 90-day cycle, right? So whatever's happening in your business right now, you kicked it into gear 90 days ago. Okay. And I'm not bringing all this up so that you feel bad if you're had a rough spot. We've all been there, okay? The truth of the matter is that doing these things will immediately get you back into impact. Immediately, okay? You might be building up some pipeline and building up, obviously if we're reaching out and we're connecting with someone that we feel like is a dream team prospect, you're probably not going to convert a dream teamer the first time unless they are in a need right away. So remember that what we offer has to connect with what they need. And that's why we cannot stop posting, reaching out, connecting, offering, because as much as we see on social media, we don't know what's going on with people. Okay? If you've ever had money problems, did you throw up a billboard about it? Did you tell everybody? You didn't. Okay? Because it's private. If you are having scary health stuff going on, sometimes people talk about it on the internet, but a lot of times it comes down to us being diligent about our connections and continuing to follow up. So think about where you can, one place that you can intentionally connect this week. Obviously, we have the free reset. Okay. I'm trying to make this an evergreen training. So I'm not going to really be speaking about this as, speaking about that specifically, but anytime you have a sale, anytime you have an event, okay, and the events we're going to be talking about those here in just a minute, that gives you an excuse to drive somebody from the connection and the prospecting phase into the sales and recruiting phase. Okay? System, excuse me. So they obviously, our job is to invite. So the next part would be, looking at how this drives into a sales recruiting duplication system. And what happens with that is we take a connection and we start to use invitations to deepen your relationship with them. And this will continue in the retention phase. Okay, in the customer care phase, this will continue. But right now, you want to take connections and drive them into something. So the point is when we offer something every week, even if we're not offering it as a team, the company has something on Thursday. Not adding people into those Thursday events is going to jackknife how you're able to convert and to bring more awareness of just the products to people or the opportunity. Okay? So our job is not to convince, it's to invite. So this is the system that educates, that validates, that builds belief. Okay. We're guiding them to the next step. We have a connection, and this might happen faster with some people, right? If you see somebody, if you're connecting with somebody and they're like, I am miserable, I don't feel well, blah, 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 it's Wednesday, you're like, this is crazy that we're talking about this, but I would love to add you into this event that's already in place. Are you open to that? Okay. And again, they're going to say yes or no. I feel like it's a low likelihood if they're really desperate that they would say no, or they would say something like, no problem. I love that, but I'm not available at this time. I'm not really an online person. I don't really love events like that. We don't take that as a no. We pivot into a new ask. No problem. I'd love to connect you with my friend Sadie in a private message. She has been, really around with the products for this amount of time. Guys, you can use anybody. We know this, okay? It's just creating that third party validation. This is what my advice is. If somebody if they're ready, if they feel like they're interested, I love a conversation or a three-way message first. Okay? If you and we're going to talk in a sidebar, we're going to talk about the three-way messaging, the process of the three-way message, because that is critical that you get that down. So that's kind of a sidebar to this conversation, to this. But three-way messages are very, very, very important, and getting down a system of that will convert people to buyers quickly. And here is what I want you to understand is utilizing the three-way message system within this system, right? That's how we sell. A lot of times I see people deviating from the system that is laid out, and they talk too much in three-way messages. So we're going to be covering that later. We're going to be talking about what that can look like. But also these taking somebody from a connection into more information, into kind of an opportunity to buy, right? Because during some of these events, we're going to have that next precipice to what do you think? Are you ready? That kind of a thing. We know this. Messenger events, three-way messages, Zoom meetings, and sky's the limit, right? If you are sick of of what, the kind of the method you've been using, change it up because when something feels new and fresh, you're going to use it differently. Facebook group, testimonial party, even a corporate training. And I kind of gave you guys feedback that I had somebody who was interested in the business attend the Thursday night product call. And she felt like it was very impressive. So I think a lot of times we maybe, exclude that thought or that or asking somebody to, attend that because it's like it feels like less personal or it's not that big of a deal. I'm telling you, every single person, and this kind of goes back to retention too, but everybody who buys from you needs to get invited to that call, that corporate call. Okay. I truly believe it, and you need to make that part of your retention system. But again, we're on the sales and recruiting and duplication phase. Obviously, we understand that sales, recruiting are the same thing. Duplicating means this is a system that as you've brought people into this, you can turn around then and say, remember that party that I invited you to? Do you, can we think of anybody in your life that we could add to it? Because I'd love to help you, just share this with your network. Okay, so the duplication is basically when someone is pulled into this system, they know what it looks like. It is comfortable. Okay, they receive support. They hear the stories. They feel confident inviting their own potentials in. That's why having a weekly opportunity that you can constantly be using is really important. And I do see a lot of people skipping the step of utilizing some of those calls or our messenger parties and things like that. And guys, listen, I understand that there can be fatigue around the type of event. Okay, I'm not, I'm nobody's mom. But what I do know is that if you have a system yourself of like, you know, driving potentials into something every week, it's going to keep you sharp and it's going to push the hand, force the hand of connection. Okay. So, basically, this is where duplication begins because they've already seen it, right? Just like this pink party idea, right? We're throwing the team wide pink party. Yay! You're going to get to go back to your people that were in there. And I think you need to be new VIPs need to be in there. I think that potentials need to be in there. I think that anybody that you love for the business needs to be in there because once that concludes, and yes, I'll go live and no, 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 are you willing to do this? We have hostess rewards, all these things, right? This is kind of a newer idea for our team. But the point is, you have something to go back and say, what did you think of the party? What did you think about the information? You're going to get feedback and you're going to say, okay, I was dying to hear what you had to say because I would love to host one of these with you for your closest friends and family. Is that something that you're comfortable with? I'd love to, offer you hostess rewards. That, the pink party, and this is, just an offshoot, the pink party pivots around them not wanting the business, right? It pivots around them not wanting the business. You're acknowledging, hey, I know you don't want the business, but here is this opportunity where you can get these hostess rewards. Now, if this is somebody who wants the business, we're not offering them hostess rewards because they're making money. Okay. Like, that's only for people that are, hesitant in the business, don't want to do it, but you see that they're very connected and all those things. So here's what happens. They love it. They join, they say yes. And then we start, the longest process, hopefully, which is the retention and the customer support. And you will never stop inviting people into things. Even if they become a leader on your team, you're inviting them to connect with you weekly. You're inviting them to meet a star diamond that is a good friend of yours. You're inviting them to host a call, right? Again, it does not stop. But as a customer, you're still utilizing continuous invitations to obviously, we're going to support them in the products. We have resources for that. If you feel like that is a weakness of yours, because what the idea is I want you to think about where you're the weakest. Okay. Not everybody can be a superstar at everything. Okay. And I want to believe, we all want to believe that that's true, but we all have our strengths and our weaknesses. the point is, long-term momentum is not just recruiting, it's retention. Okay. So, when you hear maybe your uplines or somebody else talk about getting the subscription in place, making sure that they're ordering, making sure their products start strong. I think that the company is doing better than ever with the the way that they kind of, even on the packaging, they'll guide you to be taking the products. It's better than ever. It will never replace you. I want you to understand that. This product line is not designed to be an on the shelf at Walgreens product, because it takes tailoring. It takes, somebody digging in with them. It takes them to sometimes work through something like die off. It takes them to figure out their gut health and digestive health. This is not like, here is a vitamin C powder and have fun. Like, that's not what this is. Okay. So the reason that we make great money is because we are asked to be in the weeds and the trenches with these people. When you skip the retention stuff, you skip the starting off the product strong, it's basically a hamster wheel invitation. It's an invitation for you to stay on the hamster wheel, constantly surprised. Oh my gosh, so and so didn't order. Oh, and it's this attrition nightmare, right? It's an attrition monster that is very, very difficult. And I want to tell you this, the company is answering the perks problem. Again, I want to make this an evergreen training. Soon, and in the recent past, we have had rewards for somebody to keep their subscription on. We're in a weird no man's land right now, but I'm going to just speak in the future of, they're going to have rewards for this, for utilizing our subscription program. But first and foremost, the reward is a great product experience, creating customers that last a lifetime. And I'm here to tell you, I'm not always perfect about this. Okay. I have all the tools, but I'm a human being, and we know sometimes they won't speak to us. We have to do things like ask for upfront contracts. We have to, hey, when your products come, I want it, if you notice, I've worked with several people, like, people just don't tell me when their products come. Okay, well, we can't control them, but we can control us. So if we feel like that's happening on a regular basis, okay, what are we going to say at the beginning, right? And we ask that open-ended question, and that's all we can do. All we can do is our part. Okay. But this can constantly get stronger and stronger based on how we're just observing. Okay. Okay. So, again, it's that, it's check-ins. Okay. It's, support if there's any problems. It's adding them into our wellness community. Okay. If they're not in there, and I'm going to talk about this too, in just a minute, but our ATMing program that I think is that's great for people who, love that non-aggressive sharing. That's another way, that's another type of duplication system, right? If they come in and you had tagged them in something and then you asked them what they thought and that led to a sale, you can teach them to do that exact same thing. Okay? So we're going to summarize this here in just a touch, but another way that you retain customers is celebrating their milestones. Don't skip that, right? If you and you know who does a great job of this, and I never even thought of it, I didn't even know she was like doing it for like 3 or 4 years. But Mandy will get a recent selfie of somebody, go back to when they started the products, and make them a collage. And she's like, "Look at you. You need to post this. It's beautiful." And it's just something that is so natural to her. I would have never thought to do it myself, but borrow that. If you like that, borrow that. Think about leaving this call and like doing that. Like, "Hey girl, send me a recent selfie." Now, some people aren't going to be open, but it's another thing that we can do. The new subscription program, we're going to be able to talk with them through that. Your current customers at the time, whatever that looks like, we're going to help them, opt in and utilize that. And then obviously doing those regular check-ins, asking how you can help. So, this, cared customers stay longer, cared for customers stay longer. They refer more. Okay. And they usually become business partners. Somebody who has a crap product experience is not going to be a table leg for you. right? And so it really comes down to are any of these systems within the larger system more important? No. They're all very important. Are you going to be perfect at all of them? No. But are you going to continuously walk toward getting better and better? Yes. So, basically, this is on your worksheet that I shared in that Emerald in our Emerald group. And I don't know if I can on YouTube if I can include this in some kind of a comment, but it'll be living in our team pages and stuff. But it's basically goes connection, invitation into the system, retention through support, right? And having them use a connection, bring them to just an event or bring them, into the system, basically a learning opportunity. And then we help them retain that customer. And it's just a cycle, right? And so you're constantly thinking about this ecosystem of people, moving them through. So think about people that you've spoken to in the past that maybe they haven't done much. Okay, we know that we've got a great offer right now, but maybe we need to bring them into something else. If it was just a sale, it would have already worked. So maybe they need just a little bit more. Think about going back to people who haven't, jumped potentially and using the ATM system. So the ATM system is getting them into that wellness community, adding them, ATM, add, tag, message. Basically, you are adding them in. There are different permissions for groups now. So you're going to have to say something along the lines of, hey, listen, I know it hasn't felt like the right time for you to say yes yet, but I happened to see a story in our product community that reminded me of you. If I add you to the group, would you accept so I could share it with you? Okay? Very non-aggressive. They don't, they're not getting on a screen, they're not getting on a call, they're not in the hot seat. And maybe that's what it's going to take, but there's always a way to continuously invite. Now, you're probably thinking, Sadie, some of these people seem dead in the water. I've learned a little bit more. I've figured out that, they're not that responsive and they're kind of rude. Then they're not somebody that we want to hold space in our ecosystem. Like just let it go. Like the thing that and I kind of said this yesterday in the leaders thread about how I use my prospect lists. Sometimes people move to the A list. They're giving me buying signs. They're excited. They're receptive, right? Maybe I'm like, this person's amazing. They stay on the B list. So you can, and sometimes people fall off. You get more information, right? The more, you might think somebody looks great. And the more you figure it out, you're like, wow, they don't have my same values. I got a little bit closer to this person. I was connecting with this person. I learned a little bit more. This isn't for me. And that's why the connection phase is so super critical because it's not just a time to see if they're open, it's a time to figure out who they are and if they're a match for us, right? If somebody is really against supplements and you're in the connection phase with them, they're not going to the next step probably. We got to work on the openness first, and so maybe they stay in connection phase for a very very long time. So from a scale on a scale from 1 to 10, basically like or 1 to 5, how do you rate yourself on connection, right? How do you rate yourself on inviting to the next step, moving people through a process, changing up how you're engaging with them? Okay, how about customer retention and support, right? I'm assuming nobody's going to get all fives. And if you do, I love that. And you're going to be doing the next training. Okay. But the point is, wherever you scored the lowest, that's the leak in the deal. Okay. I do feel like the most important thing that we can do is continuously invite. If you went into your back office and you thought, okay, I have to invite this person to read a story. I have to invite this person to meet my sponsor. I have to, whatever it is for the person, right? There is not a one size fits all for as much as I want our systems to be like, oh, it goes, 1 to 10 and it's exactly this way. That is not reality. Okay? Amanda is going to need something totally different than Nikki, potentially. right? The more I learn about Amanda, the more I learn about Nikki, I'm going to know, maybe inviting Nikki to host something on the team, or Amanda's going to maybe host a Bible study, and that's really great for her. Whatever, guys. I'm just saying that don't feel like you have to be so carbon copied, because a lot of our personalities don't really love the idea that everything is robotic like that. I want you to remember that systems are freedom. As much as it feels like it's something to do and it's a box to check off, it's not. It is freedom. It's you can turn your brain off, right? When you're connecting with somebody and you're getting more information and you're got an event that's coming up, or you see a lupus testimony and you know what's her face that you talked to 2 weeks ago has lupus, it's a no-brainer. It's like I need to be driving this person into reading this. Okay? So just remember how important it is to identify where your weakest spot is, and it can be worked on. The truth of the matter is that all of these pieces are very, very important. And when done well, it is a machine that does not depend on how you're feeling emotionally. And I don't know about you, but I'm staring at all women right now. We've got a lot going on. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We're women of a certain age, right? And if somebody's watching this someday that's younger, maybe you're having babies. Okay, maybe maybe that's going on. So, our emotions are what set us apart and make us just irreplaceable in this business model and in this company. But we have to remember that sometimes our emotions will lie to us, because feelings are not facts. And so when we feel a certain way and then shut down how we're utilizing our systems, the only person, I mean, there's a lot of losers, right? It's the people that you're not connecting with, and it's you, because you're not hitting you're not hitting the goals that you want to hit. So my guidance for you is get really clear on where you feel like your weakest space is, and I want to just lay out for you what our weekly system looks like. Okay? And we know this because a lot of us have been around the block. We've seen the calendars, we've done all the things, but your weekly system is just the way that you're going to send people through what is happening, right? So Monday night, we have, it's usually Sunday or Monday, we're having a connection call. We're gathering together, we're getting information, we're starting out strong. We're just kind of pulling together what the week can look like. And then Wednesday or Thursday, typically we have an event that you're able to drive connections into. Okay? The idea would be that they would buy within the next 24 hours. And then what I love is that they would maybe post over the weekend that they're getting started. And as you can see, this just is cyclical, right? It is a cyclical opportunity. Is it going to be perfect? Is everybody going to say yes to the posting? No. But the ask is what's important. This comes back to our onboarding. Our onboarding is basically the beginning of our retention. So it bridges the gap from the duplication in the sales and the recruiting into retention. And what does onboarding mean? Onboarding means, and this is a little micro piece of the system that you might need to tighten up, because this could be a game changer with how everybody gets started off in a really strong way. Okay? Because here's the deal. That part, if it feels really hard, if it feels like there's a lot of moving parts, you're going to skip steps. They're going to have missed steps because you're not going to have offered them. And then there's holes in the boat. Okay. So the onboarding system is, as soon as they go to order, that is this process, right? Obviously, we have our cart system right now. The cart is not going to work for everybody. Sometimes somebody is going to be older. Somebody is going to be away from the computer. Somebody's going to It's going to be the end of the month. We need to get it in. Whatever. Let that be the exception to the rule, and start to really understand the cart system. The cart system is going to make it not only very easy for you, and I feel like we do that. Okay? I feel like we very much do that. I really want to be honest with you, relinquishing control into the cart system was very difficult for me. Okay. I loved to do it myself. So you're talking to somebody who struggled with relinquishing it. But what I found was it gave them ownership of their experience right away. Okay. When we own everything, and listen, I already told you, I'm a high recruiter. I was signing everybody up myself. And when people have problems, it seems like it happens all in cyclical, whatever. Five people in a day got a problem, need an issue, da, 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 and you're the owner. And what you want to do is you want to transfer power into that person's hands because we have great products that work. We don't have to make it difficult for them to cancel. Okay? Where the rubber hits the road, what we want to do is we want to just tell the truth, have transparency, be honest. But back to this. You're sending a cart. Okay? Send the cart. Hey, let me know when you're done. This is exactly I'm not take this for what it is. This is my advice on your onboarding process. Let me know when you're all finished. Patiently waiting. I'm all done. Awesome. I love hearing this. I'm so excited for you. I'm going to go ahead and send our team roadmap to you. It's got links for you that are going to answer a lot of questions that you might have. Okay. The next thing I want to ask you is, would you kind of go through the beginning of it? And when you're all done, we can touch base, right? And by the way, sidebar, I want you to look at the roadmap and I want you to look at what you think is most important for your customers and say, hey, go through these couple links and let's connect after you're done. It'll take you 5 minutes. Okay. I want you to start off strong. Or, hey, watch the opening video. That's my friend Sadie. When you're all done, let me know when you're all done. That part, I'm going to let you manage that. But sending the roadmap allows you, okay, you got to learn the roadmap yourself. But when you send it, if they've got a problem and it's solved in the roadmap, or there's a resource on the roadmap, we can immediately go back and be like, hey, remember that roadmap I text you? It's actually in there under one of those tabs. I want you to go through it because I'm a visual learner myself, so I'm thinking maybe you might get value of that. Go through that, and when you're done, let's talk about it. Okay? Again, ownership. It's not about you doing anything other than providing the resources and helping them solve their own problems. Okay? Right. So you send that, you figure out what you like about the roadmap. Maybe you love this, I don't know. I don't have it memorized, but just have something that you want them to look over. Okay? And the next thing you're going to say is I am so excited for you. Okay? As soon as you get your products, will you come back right here and message me so I can get you started off tailor made exactly the way that you need to start these products? Is that okay? Open-ended question is necessary with this. Okay, let me know is where everything goes to die. Okay, so you have options after that. That can be it, right? That can be it for right then. You've given them a call to action. You've shown them a resource, and you're able to just kind of wait for them to get their products. Optional is, hey, usually on this team, we ask if you're willing to do a shout out post and tag me saying that you're excited to start your products. If I give you what to say, are you open to doing that? I know a lot of people in your network would love to know about this, and I'd love to support you in announcing that you're on a journey. Are you open? That's going to go 50-50. We don't know, but you asked. You opened the door, okay? If that feels like confusing or it feels like a lot or you're sweating in your armpits a little bit, do that when you're ready, right? But the point is that when we tell people, "Oh, this is what we do on our team." Hey, we've got an event on Thursday. All new customers always get invited to this event on Thursday. Can I invite you to this? Will you register for this? Whatever the case. Okay. So it's not just inviting them in when they're in the connection phase to learn more and buy. It's also like, hey, this is our corporate call. I think you're gonna love it. I go to these every Thursday. It's 15 minutes. But you're gonna love it. The stories are great. And we always have a doctor on board with us, right? Again, it's not about what they say. It's about that everyone gets the same opportunity because I'm going to tell you this right now. When things are methodical and things are just following a system, right? Following a checklist, it makes it really easy for everyone to get the same experience. So you don't have to use your brain cells to worry. If you get busy, you're like, somebody might get, the Cadillac treatment and then you're signing 6 to 9 people in the month of December because you want to earn this Christmas cash, you want to do all the things, and we just toss all our candy in the lobby, and it's like good luck, you know, So having this is a great time for us to be focused on this. I want to make sure that you understand that once you fall into line with this and start really operating this way, you might not be able to be on Thursday, but Thursday's happening. You might not be able, you know what I mean? Like, I want you to know that, like, sometimes, and I'm not thinking that, anybody specifically on this call is doing it, but I think sometimes if we're not attending something, we automatically don't include somebody else. And that's a huge mistake because just because we're not in the space where we need it at this given moment, someone else might hear something. And the other thing too is these resources are passive education. All you have to do is invite. They're getting educated by somebody else on the team, right? And if you're the one running if you're the one running the event, well, then somebody else is getting to have their customers attend something passive that you're being active in. And so it's just a symbiotic relationship where we're all just kind of in it together, but we all get to win when we use these systems. Okay. I am very willing to share the old PowerPoint with you guys if you want to do that. In the PowerPoint, it talked a lot about great types of posting. It talked about what that should look like, clear pictures. I feel like we're in a space where things in the last handful of years we're in a really good space with that. I don't see a lot of struggle, but happy to share that with you if you want that. But it did cover the posting, it did cover the three-way message system. And it kind of showed it and it gave some message examples. So if you want that, I'm not here to gatekeep and I will share it. Okay, last part is our little sidebar here about what the three-way message is supposed to look like. Okay, and I want to share this with you because as somebody who had a lot of information and always wanted to share it, okay, I lost customers that way because I made it about what I thought that they needed to know about instead of getting curious about how they felt. And it wasn't on purpose. It was just, I love every weird scientific article ever, and everybody was going to love that. And they're not. Sometimes people are just like, does it taste good? Okay, like that's it. And so what we have to do is we have to become neutral. And so this is just a recorded reminder. If you're somebody that talks too much in these messages, it's okay. I'm a reformed talker too mucher. Okay. So this is all you have to do, right? If somebody is bringing you in as the authority, right, or the third party validation, or if you're doing it, this is what happens. The message opens. The person who knows the potential says, hey, everybody, so and so, meet my friend Sadie. Sadie, this is so and so. She's dealing with X, Y, and Z. She wanted a little bit more information. I was wondering if you could help us figure out what's perfect for her. Sadie's going to say, oh my gosh, so nice to meet you. Tell me a little bit about the symptoms you've been experiencing. She answers. Okay. I respond something relatable or, oh my gosh, I felt that way too. Oh, that sounds terrible. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's really rough. Something to transition into the next question, which is going to be determined by what you see, obviously. But I like to ask something like, how would you describe your digestive health? Do you have any bloating or issues? Are you struggling with anything like that? How are your bowel movements? Okay. That person's going to answer. At that point, you may know as the upline or sponsor what you're going to ask. But even if not, okay, we don't have to diagnose people, we don't have to offer more. If you need to keep asking open-ended questions such as if somebody brings a lot to the table, are you on any medications? Because we're not going to have medicinal interactions, you guys, but we're going to be able to quickly know, oh, they're on blood pressure medicine, they're on anxiety medicine, maybe they're on a stool softener. These are things, especially if somebody brings a lot to the table, we're going to be able to reassure them, hey, a lot of times people come off of this right away. Are you open to a system that would kind of help you naturally do that? And what that does is add credibility. Again, we don't have a lot of those medicinal interactions at all. But it is nice, especially if it feels like a lot going on. Now, somebody could come and say, I'm feeling bloated, I'm feeling tired, I'm my periods are wonky, whatever. Like, you might not need to really ask that. So my point is this is it's an opener. We're describing how they're feeling, opener, open-ended question, bridge the gap, open-ended question, bridge the gap, open-ended question. And when you're ready, all you do is you go to boards or you have wherever you have your pictures that you are utilizing, okay? You say, "Oh my God, I know exactly what you need. This is going to be so good for you. I'm so excited. This is amazing. I'm so excited." Whatever your personality is. If you're not naturally like that, then don't do something that you're not, but I would show a lot of confidence around what you're about to share. Like, "Oh, this is going to be perfect. Oh, we just helped somebody who is dealing with the same thing. Oh, whatever." Okay? You send the pictures. And then you say, "How does this look to you?" Okay? I know that some people like to offer two different things. If that is you, I want you to do what you think is best. But I will tell you, these people do not know. They don't know. Hey, which one looks better? They don't know. They don't know. If you need to go back and have more clarity around them, like, hey, would you say that you're more interested in energy or more interested in digestive health? Would you say this or this? Those are qualifying questions, but I can promise you, you muddy the water when you offer two different systems. I'm just telling you because every single time I've ever done that, they're like, well, I don't know. And then the conversation can sometimes die because it lacks confidence. And then what you can say is in throughout your onboarding process, hey, I just want to reserve the right. This is what, based on what you shared, I think this is a great place to start. But I want to reserve the right, Sharon, that if we're talking so much in the very beginning, and throughout your process, if I ever feel like we need to make tweaks or I feel like something is going to be better for you, are you open to me changing things up a little bit for you? Okay. And that's for you to go back to her and say when she's like, I'm going to quit. Oh, hey, well, that's why I said this. That's why I asked this because we have 20 products, 25 including a skincare line. There's infinity different options. Okay. This is just based on what I hear. This is what it sounds like you need. But I can only do my best guess, right? I am not inside of your lifestyle. Obviously, we're not sitting on their lap and making them take it. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh, I can't take it. It's not, whatever, right? We can only do our best in the moment. This is not an invitation for you to feel like you have to be perfect. Okay. But what you need to do is have a system to where it is so you're not over talking, you're not diagnosing, you're not giving a bunch of extra information. And the thing is as somebody who cares a lot about health and ingredients, I know we have nurses on this call. I know we have medical people. I know when you know a lot, it's hard to sometimes dial back the lot that you know. But I promise you this, they are blessed to have the information at their fingertips and you'll be able to bring it into their journey. Okay? If they bring a medical question to you, I'm not going to say not to answer it. Okay? That's up to you, right? Y'all took an oath. So, okay. But what I'm saying is, it's not necessary to show, and sometimes it's like, look at all this information I have. I want to seem credible. I want to, it comes from a good space, but understand that the most important thing is the yes. Them feeling excited and the yes. The emotion of them feeling excited is more important than us regurgitating ingredients or I don't know, whatever. Like I'm telling you, I have to work on this all the time. So this is not coming from a space of projection. It's coming from a space of this is the way that I've been able to help multiple people close quickly so that you're able to hit your goals and you're able to send people through a system. Not everybody who's joining your team is going to have the same brain as us, right? And so we have to make this homogenous to everyone, right? And the people who want more information, when their brains work like that, I promise they're going to ask. If they want to see ingredients list, if they want to see studies, if they want to, whatever they want, they're not going to hold back. because they're going to show you right then and there it's important to them. And then that's how you can tailor, knowing that they asked about that in the beginning, that you'll be able to constantly give them that more medical or scientific stuff. Does that make sense? Okay. Open. Open-ended question. Open-ended question. Picture. How does this look? I promise. I promise. It is, I want you to become the closing machines. And I think you guys do great. I'm staring at a screen of people who do great, but we're recording this for people who are new to this. So I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks, everyone.